That's right. We have reached the end of this series because we're going to be talking about the supports and where Chime is going to rank amongst them. Let's talk some TSM. Support is definitely going to be one of the more interesting positions that we're going to be talking about. It's one that has a lot of potentially solid players, but some of them are maybe a little less spectacular than other ones. But, we're going to be talking about our boy Chime. Where do you rank Chime? I'm really excited to talk about him because I think for the longest time, I remember quick, anecdotal story about him. I remember watching him back at Proving Grounds. I remember knowing absolutely nothing about this guy. He comes in, there wasn't much information, and he played pretty solidly. Like, he was a good player. And every single split since, I have wondered, when is he finally going to get a chance? Because, I knew he needed some time to develop down in academy and amongst, the lower ranks. But it felt like when Golden Guardians finally called him up, he was going to get his chance, and he played fine, but the team just wasn't that good and wasn't really able to play around him all that well, and I think he really learned from that. Now, we're looking at a player that, while I have said that Maple is the best player on the team, and I think if you go back and you watch what I said about Neo, I think you'd be surprised, but I think Chime is definitely the second best player on our team, especially after what we saw when he came in and was given the opportunity to start to have a clear path as to what he was going to do. Not only was he well spoken every time that he would go and do interviews and everything like that, but he also was clearly a leader on this team. And I think that does a lot more than people think, because if you want the kind of team cohesion that CLG had last year, right, where they surprised everybody and they went, they won a lot of games that you didn't think they should. They went a little bit further in the playoffs than you thought. And, they were realistically like almost one game away from a chance to go to Worlds. This is the kind of player that you want to have on your squad. This is the kind of guy that can kind of level up everybody. And that's what you want in a support. Now, here are the other 10 or the other 9 players, again, in no particular order. For 100 Thieves, you have Busio being called up, which he's an exciting young prospect that I think a lot of people are going to be surprised at how good he really could be, right? Then you have Cloud9 staying with Sven. He's going to have another split, a full year, it sounds like, really dedicating himself to the craft of a support player. We saw him get a little bit exposed, honestly, during Worlds, but hey, if you're getting exposed by the best players in the world, then you're still probably pretty good, considering he literally just picked up the position at a professional level. After that, at CLG, you got Boom, who was kind of like the Busio initially, right, with 100 Thieves being brought up in that similar sense. Dignitas are bringing in Ayla, or no, it's not Ayla. Who are they bringing? Oh, it's Ignar. That's right. Ignar is coming in apparently for Dignitas, getting another life for himself. Then Evil Geniuses are sticking with Vulcan, who was by far and away last year, in my opinion, the best support in the LCS. Continuing on, we have Huhi going for Golden Guardians, and then Core JJ staying with Team Liquid to hopefully help Jan get better. Ayla heading over to FlyQuest to play with Prince. Man, that is quite the task for him. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen there. Then you have Fleshy coming in for Immortals and Chime for TSM. Now, if you've been watching this series, you know that I've been splitting things in half and then letting you guys kind of figure out the rest. My top 5 supports as of right now, and these could honestly even change by the time I write my piece on this, to be honest with you. But in no particular order, we've got Huhi, Ayla, Sven, Vulcan, and Core JJ. Okay, those are my top 5. Bottom 5, no particular order again, being Busio, Poom, Ignar, Chime, and Fleshy. I think that Chime's potential, and I'm going to probably get made fun of a lot for this, but if he's able to play the way that he did throughout the last half of this split and the impact that he had. Some of the stats are not there. They just frankly aren't, right? Like he's not getting a ton of assists necessarily. His laning stats are pretty middle of the road. His wards are actually one of the higher, like top 5 position, but what is he really? And there's one stat that stands out to me a lot with Chime. And it's one that I've talked about on this podcast for the last 2 years that I value a lot. And it is kill participation. For players that are expecting to have an impact in team fights, right? What is a support's job? They are to help usher the AD carry throughout the game. And nowadays, especially, they're expected to roam and help at every single part of the map. It is truly one of the most important positions next to the jungle. While everybody focuses on mid laners and AD carries and top lane carries, not as many of top lane carries in the LCS, but you know what I mean. I think that having a great support is foundational to having an incredible team. And again, people are going to probably give me crap for this. I think Chime's potential is 2. I really do believe that CoreJJ is not... he showed last year that he's slowing down a little bit. I think Huhi is slowing down a little bit. I think Sven is slowing down a little bit. I think Ayla is still a massive question mark. I think Busio is a question mark. I don't think Poom is better than Chime. I don't think Ignar is better than Chime. And I also don't think Fleshy is better than Chime. Again, all of that's out of order. I'm just kind of listing it just based on where my mind's at right now. But the top player is Vulcan. I don't think there's much of an argument there. I think CoreJJ is still likely going to be better than Chime. Okay? And I know there's a lot of Huhi slander out there. I'm going to rank him pretty well. I think a lot of people will be happy with that once those rankings are out. But I believe that I'm putting Chime currently in the lowest position that he will be in the LCS, and that is 6th. I have him, like I said, with Busio, Fleshy, Ignar, and Poom. Those are the other ones. And I do believe that Chime's potential is much higher. I don't think he can be the best. I don't know that he ever will be the best in the LCS. And I don't know that he's necessarily going to be able to easily work his way up to the top 2, even though I know I said that differently earlier. But I do think that he can get up there because I think he's just got this playmaker's mentality. He is the point guard for TSM, to use another sports ball reference on this show. He's the kind of guy that's going to go in there and he is going to just dish the ball to everybody. He is going to make everybody look so much better. He's going to die for his team to make sure they can get the best positioning that they can. He's going to clear wards and really place them extremely well. I know it sounds really stupid, but I mean, he does a good job at keeping the jungles and the pathing relatively clear, and was good at giving TSM vision throughout especially throughout the playoffs. And I think now knowing that he's going to be a starter, now not having to worry about, well, is somebody going to replace me, right? Because I don't think that the TSM Academy support is going to be really challenging Chime, if I'm being completely honest with you. I can't even remember his name. I know he's coming over from the Pacific, but I think it's Oceania, if I remember correctly. Chime is really good, and I think we saw glimpses of how great he could be. And when we're looking at the rest of the LCS, guys, Vulcan had an unbelievable year. 209 assists, okay? That's a lot of killing, but his kill participation was still only 78%. Okay, that 2% difference may not seem like a lot, but it can be pretty significant throughout an entire season. TSM, yet again, for the 3rd straight year, are not going to be a team that is going to get a ton of kills, okay? But if Chime can be involved in 4 out of every 5 kills, that means that Neo's playing well. That likely means that Boogie is actually doing okay. And I think that means that Maple is carrying late in team fights. I cannot stress enough that Chime is, I think, going to be crucial to our season. If Chime doesn't get better, or if he actually gets a lot worse and falls down these rankings, then I think we are absolutely screwed. But I think if Chime can play at like the third or fourth best type of support, which I think he has the potential to do, then this team's like a fifth best team, maybe one that's making playoffs. And I really do believe that he is going to be, while Maple is kind of the king of the castle, I think that, Chime is the general that's driving the force forward and helping us, conquer the lands of the other teams that stand in our path. I don't know. I'm trying to make a weird analogy, and maybe it worked for you. But if not, that's fine. You can also let me know that in the comment section below. But regardless, check out the other videos. You can check out the other 4 that I did in this series, the other stuff I talked about with Chawi as well. I'm really excited to continue to dive into this offseason with you all and, do more comparisons, talk a little bit more about where I see TSM going in the future. And yeah, I really hope that, as we ramp up for this holiday season, that you guys will be ready, because I'm still going to be producing videos. I'm still going to be producing content. Nothing's going to slow me down outside of sickness. So let's knock on wood and hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, other than that, guys, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one.